Hi everyone, thank you for watching our video. We've got lots of other amazing online courses available on the Morales Method website. Please follow the link in the description to see our other online courses.
I can also use other tools. I can use my soft fist, and if it's a soft fist that I'm using, notice again, right soft fist, right foot. I like to bring my body behind the tool. I like to have that leading foot that matches the tool side forward. And one thing you may not be seeing here is that I'm bending my ankles. I like to bend my ankle, my right ankle. My left foot is a little splayed out. My toes are towards the camera. My left foot toes are towards the camera. My right foot toes are pointed this way a bit. And that allows me to kind of lean in. Another thing you might be noticing is that I am not bending my elbow. I am not working like this. If I start working this way, there's a lot of muscular force that's needed to keep the integrity of these joints. So, you know, I have a lot of muscular force as I'm doing this. So I'm bending this elbow like so. There's a lot of muscular force to keep the integrity of this joint and to keep the integrity of this joint. When I stack those bones and stack those joints, it's a lot easier for me, a lot less effort. I'm basically letting gravity do the work. Some of us are hypermobile and our elbow joints go out like this. Now keep that in mind, okay? It may feel like your elbow is flexed, but if you're hypermobile, I encourage you to be aware of that hypermobility and make sure you stack those joints. Another thing I want you to be aware of is the position of your radius and your ulna. And this is something that very few body mechanics classes even bring up. I've noticed this, and you know, I try to let people know as I see them work in workshops. But sometimes what happens is the tool seems to be placed well, but they say, Marty, my wrists are feeling a little bit of strain. And I notice that what happens is, even though the soft fist is placed well, there's a torsion in the radius, there's a torsion in the ulna, and they start to feel it in their wrists. And I don't know if you can tell here, as I do this, as I start to do this type of move, I start to feel it right up in here almost instantly, and a little bit of a tug right up in here. And as I bring those two bones stacked in parallel and on top of this carpal complex, all of that goes away. So be aware as you're doing this work that you're not doing any undue torsion in your forearm. So this is a great way to do it if you needed to do this type of work using soft fist. If you want to do a little more pointed work, then you can use your knuckles. And I don't use my knuckles like this. Sometimes I've seen people work like so, but what I see happening is, again, there's a lot of muscular exertion being done in order to keep these fingers from not buckling, keeping this wrist from not buckling. So what I like to show is a pronation of the forearm, and that tends to lock this area here a little bit, and I can keep these knuckles straight like so, and I can lean very easily in the direction of resistance. My thumb sometimes will come in and meet my other fingers like this, so you may not see it as I pronate my forearm. My other hand will rest on the rest of Elena's leg. Sometimes I'll keep it here, sometimes I'll keep it out here. If the person is nice and tall, my arm ends up going out of frame, probably up to their foot. and I can sink in there. Sometimes this is a little too pointed. Is this okay? Okay. I can sink in here. I can work in the direction of resistance. Just like we worked up in here, I can also work sacrotuberous ligament. If you're not sure where sacrotuberous ligament is, a nice way to find out is to put thumb right by ischial tuberosity, and that's that bony protuberance here. I like to show my students that it's pretty easy to find it. I put my thumb right here on the ischial tuberosity, put my hand on the sacrum, and the path that my thumb takes is, for most folks, the path of the sacrotuberous ligament. So, I can rest right in here. Again, sinking into end range and feeling for sacrotuberous ligament. Of course, you know, when we work this tissue, we're not necessarily lengthening or stretching the ligament. I don't have enough force to do that. But what I can be doing, and keep this in mind, is I can be working that tissue that is deeper to that ligament. And an important muscle that's part of working the glutes, part of working the pelvis, especially if folks are dealing with low back pain or pelvic floor issues, is the obturator internus. And that's a muscle that can be accessed when we sink in to this area. So to me, you know, working sacrotuberous ligament, it also means that I'm affecting obturator internus. And as I'm talking and I'm sinking in here, I am feeling for directional resistance, and I feel a little bit of directional resistance in the superior direction. Feeling okay? Mm-hmm. Good. When it comes to this space, I usually use my elbow and forearm. I don't always go in here with knuckles or fingers. It can feel a little intrusive to the client, so I tend to go with the elbow and forearm.